You think Andy Serkis is the bad guy? Is a bad guy? Sounds
Well,
like it.
he's the voice.
Yeah, so sounds evil-ish. My sister said this guy looks like young Denzel Washington.
Ah, I can kind of see it.
Yeah. I love that design.
Yeah, I really like it too. A lot of
I
people
love the
don't like it.
helmets.
A lot of people don't like the ball jumping thing.
She actually looks like a cross between Natalie Portman and Carrie Fisher.
She does look kind of Natalie Portman-esque.
And that's my favorite shot in the whole thing, I think.
X-Wing, this is my money
Yeah.
shot.
It's the Braveheart lightsaber. And the money shot.
Oh, the other money shot. Ah, classic text. Rolls. Star Wars The Force Awakens. Give it to me. Give it to me now! If only...
Oh, I showed this to my dad's like, when's it come out? In December? It's like, they have a trailer now?
Yeah, okay, so we just watched the teaser trailer for Star Wars The Force Awakens. And, it's all that we could ever hope for in our dreams and in our minds and in our hearts. I give it, I don't know, as a teaser trailer goes, I'd probably give it like a 9 out of 10. You know,
In
I
terms
think
of hyping it up, yeah, it
yeah,
got
I mean
me
that's
hyped.
that's the whole point of a trailer is to
Yep.
get you hyped. You know, I don't know where to start. I mean, I'm hosting this, but let's be real, Austin. You are the Star Wars aficionado on this, so I'm gonna go ahead and what were your initial takeaways from this trailer?
My initial takeaways was, I'm glad JJ Abrams is doing this, because this confirmed to me that he gets it. He gets what Star Wars is. He's like a known, proclaimed Star Wars fan since he was a kid as well. And people were like, "Oh, J.J. Abrams, they don't like his film style and stuff like that." But especially when Star Trek was very divisive. But it's like he was never a Star Trek fan, and he was a Star Wars fan. So I don't know. I trust everything I see makes me trust him more and more at where he's going with this.
Yeah,
That's my main
yeah,
takeaway.
I definitely agree with you. It's you feel like it's this kid who grew up with Star Wars, and Star Wars is probably the biggest influence in his life growing up, watching his films. And you know, as a kid, you're just like, oh, what if I could? I think every kid who's watched Star Wars has the same thing. Like you make up your own stories in your mind. You know, of I'm the Jedi, I'm Han Solo. You know, I'm doing all
Hmm.
these crazy things with the Force and whatnot, and that amazing universe. And you can only dream of someday like making that story a reality. And this kid grew up, and he's gonna get the fucking chance to do it. Like I can't.
Yeah.
After seeing this, it's just like, man, I can't think of another director who could possibly pull this off. You know?
Maybe Nolan, but then
Yeah.
he might make a Nolan movie, not a Star Wars movie.
Yeah, I think Nolan would do fine, but it's
Yeah, that's true.
just I think JJ Abrams is kind of I don't know, he's just like spot on like who I would give this mantle to, you know.
I do like too. He seems to be more into the practical effects than the CG effects, more than a lot of modern directors today.
Mhm.
Like he likes using shaky cams. He likes doing like old school camera tricks with the lens flares. People make fun of his lens flares, but like it's a practical effect that
Yeah, I
not
don't
a lot of
mind.
people
I
use
actually don't
anymore.
mind the lens flares. I think it's fine.
It's a little overdone, but I mean like they're still cool. They add gravitas to a scene.
Yeah. Speaking of practical effects, how did you like that little R2-esque soccer ball bot? I don't know, people are just calling him soccer ball bot.
I kind of wanted to go into more in-depth analysis on this
Yeah, go for it.
because I'm not going to take credit for the research. This was actually an article done by Nerdist.com, and
Mhm.
they did their research. And in an old 1984 interview with Ralph McQuarrie, he was a concept artist for the original Star Wars movies. You see all the pictures and artist renderings; those are mostly him. And it says here that his original design in his head for R2D2 was just a sphere, a gyroscopically controlled sphere with a little head on top. It's like one giant ball bearing, he quoted saying. So I'm like, they're going back to the original Ralph McQuarrie concept that is. And you'll see, that's the point, another thing. There are so many Ralph McQuarrie inspired designs that they're using in this that it's ridiculous. And the ball
Okay.
droid is one example.
I'm guessing Ralph McQuarrie is the original designer, like concept
Concept
art.
artist.
Yeah,
Yeah.
on the original Star Wars series.
Yeah. He did
Okay.
like all these really famous drawings and a lot of the matte paintings too,
I
I
mean,
think. I don't know.
I'm an avid Star Wars fan. I am not that deep of an avid Star
I
Wars
am
fan.
that deep,
And
so
it's
that's
like,
why.
of course, the Rob McCormick. I also know of Rob McCormick. He and I visited the Hamptons
I've never met him.
every
I think he
summer.
passed away a few years ago,
Oh,
but
rest in peace.
there are several places in this trailer where his influence is pretty obviously felt.
What other designs in the trailer did you feel like that were harkened back to his work?
The new X-Wings, which is one of my favorite scenes in this trailer,
Mm-hmm.
they are more akin to like in the original ones, the X-Wings had four circular intakes on their engines,
Mm-hmm.
and this one is just two. That when the X-Wings, the wings on the X-Wing split, go into just two semicircles. You know what I mean?
Mm.
You can see that in here, and also if you look at the tips of the wings where the laser cannons are mounted.
Mm-hmm.
In the original, they're just like flush with each other, like one right on top of the other one, like this.
Mm-hmm.
In the McQuarrie one, they saw they're flared out, and the top one's mounted further back, and the bottom one's mounted forward, so they're offset. So when the wings close, there's still spacing that allows for the laser cannons. So that was
Ah.
an original McQuarrie design that was revised for the originals, but since this takes place, 20 something years after the last Star Wars movie, you assume the X-Wings went under some improvements and design changes, and they decided to go back to the McQuarrie drawings, say these are the upgraded X-Wings. So I'm like, I love that. It's very tiny details, but I
Yeah.
think big
So
Star Wars nerds know that.
So I'm guessing it was because of, budget limitations in the originals that they didn't go exactly with the McCormick designs, or just artistic license in the end.
I think it was just like a difference between McQuarrie's designs and what the set designers and prop designers could actually do.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
Like,
R2D2 would have been really fucking hard to just do as a ball bearing back then.
yeah, apparently they researched trying to do that, and they realized like it's way too hard.
Yeah. But now they seem to have got it down. I really like the ball bearing design. A lot of people are giving it a lot of shit online, apparently, that they were saying that it's too kiddie, it looks stupid. But I think people, I don't know, we can get more into this, but I think with any major franchise, people feel ownership over it, obviously, and then people are always like, oh, I don't want change, there's always two sides of people just like, oh, they gave me a sequel. It was just the same thing as the last one. And then, it's like, I need innovation, I need change, I need originality. And then there are the other side of it was like, just keep everything the same. I want my Chewie, I want my Han Solo, I want my Luke Skywalker. And you can really hear both sides of that argument in the reaction to this trailer. Full disclosure, we're doing this on Monday, which is we've had the whole entire Thanksgiving weekend to kind of simmer over this trailer and think about things.
Yeah, but also just in the case of the Baldress specifically, those people, I think it's kind of ironic those people say that, considering Ralph McQuarrie is the one who basically is responsible for the visuals of Star Wars. Like George Lucas brought it all to life and put it all together, but McQuarrie designed everything. The look of everything is basically him.
Yeah.
So for people to say have ownership, it's like you're basically like you're challenging the original creator.
I think a lot of people are just talking out of their ass before.
Exactly. It's people who don't know what it's from.
This is just clear proof that people just don't like change. Even,
it's just like the guy who started everything is the one who created this original idea. So for you to say, people think Abrams probably pulled this design out of his butt to be like, oh, it's for the kids. It's like, no, silly, do your research.
Exactly. This is a clear case of people kind of talking out of their ass. Now, at the very beginning of the trailer, it opens up. We see Tatooine. We can only assume it's Tatooine. It has to be Tatooine.
It's pretty safe, I think, to assume.
Yeah. And then I was I woke up on Friday morning. I had Friday morning off, and then I had my speakers up. I was like really excited to watch this trailer. I had the speakers all the way up, and then you hear Andy. It's confirmed Andy Serkis's voice. A lot of people were saying, "Oh, it's Benedict Cumberbatch's voice in the trailer," but it's not. It's confirmed Andy Serkis, and all of a sudden it's like there's disturbance, and then all of a sudden, like John Boyega's big ass head pops up and scares the shit out of me. I like jumped in bed. Seeing John Boyega's voice, and
All
he's
sweaty and panicky.
yeah, he's in stormtrooper armor, and he's just like apparently he did not expect to be there or something's happening, and he just jets off into the foreground or in the background.
Did you listen to what the background noise was in this scene?
No, what was the background noise?
It's the same noise that the Imperial Pro Droid from Empire Strikes Back is making.
The Hoth one?
So
The Hoth ones? Or which
yeah.
one?
Remember in the beginning when there's a Pro Droid lands and then Han and Chewie check it out and they shoot it and it self-destructs?
Yeah.
It's the same noises it makes when it's transmitting its signal, its position back to the Empire. So I'm assuming in this scene he's so panicking he's running from the Empire at this point.
Okay, so at this point, let's just say like
This is a hypothetical.
we're gonna go into some speculation, some spoilers. I've read some stuff. I'm pretty sure you've read some stuff. So at this point, I'm just gonna say spoilers alert. We might be spoiling some stuff about the movie, so you don't want to hear about that. I'll just give it 5 seconds right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and yeah. All right, we're gonna spoil everything.
And also, all speculation is our own only.
Well, no, I've read and heard some speculations.
Yeah,
about
but
the plot.
I'm speculating since he's such a panicked kind of distressed state, and we hear Imperial Pro Droid noises in the background.
Mm-hmm.
He's already running from the Empire at this point, and either a Pro Droid has discovered him or is on the verge of discovering him, which is why he's trying to get away.
It seems very apparent that he's gonna be a good guy in this. It seems that way. At first, I was thinking like, oh, John Boyega pops up in a stormtrooper outfit. I was like, oh, is he a bad guy? Like the stormtroopers are bad guys. And I thought about it, and I thought back to the original. When Luke and Han were also like disguise themselves in stormtrooper outfits. So it's kind of interesting, like, oh, maybe he disguised himself, harkening back to the original, or maybe he is the stormtrooper that kind of turns into like a good guy, is what some people are speculating right now, which I think would actually be like a really interesting storyline. The big reaction from online to this is apparently a lot of people are really racist.
Oh my god!
And love Star Wars. It's a lot of people are like, what is there like? It was like, why is there a black stormtrooper? Thought they were all
more people talking out their ass, honestly.
Yeah, I thought they were all supposed to be clones. Which, in my head, I remembered was like they were all clones in the Clone Wars. But then after the Clone Wars stopped, they stopped using the clones, and then they started conscripting, which is kind of like, if you remember from the original 3, that's kind of how Luke and Han get away with it, is that they're able to disguise themselves in the stormtrooper armor. Think about it, like if they were all clones, Han and Luke are not the same height, and if they weren't the same height,
their voices aren't the same.
Yeah, if they weren't the same height and they didn't have the same voices, everybody else, like, they would have stood out, like it would have never worked. But but anyway,
also,
people
there's
talking
like in-universe explanations, like people forget the clones have accelerated aging, so they only live like 30, 40 years at most. They die, and they're in episode 2. So timeline-wise, there's no way their clones are still alive at this point.
So pretty much all of them are dead?
Yeah, because they all have shortened lifespans because they were accelerated to their, prime of their lives.
Okay, and Boba Fett doesn't have accelerated, right?
Yeah, he was just a pure clone. But also, this is kind of weird because they said the whole expanded universe is not canon anymore. But I'm just going to go with it because I'm assuming they're going to keep this, because why would you not? There was actually a rebellion on Kamino right after the Clone Wars is over, where the Empire comes and destroys the clone facilities on Kamino. So they lose all the cloning production facilities at this point. And there are clones later on in the Empire, but most of them are either trainers, like instructors, or in the 501st Legion. The rest has to come from, there's like subpar clones from different donors, and also conscripted just normal soldiers from Empire citizens. So for people to say they're still clones 20 years after Return of the Jedi, it's like they're all going to be dead. The original clones are all going to be dead. And like you said, it was never said that stormtroopers are clones. Clone troopers are clones. Stormtroopers are not. So it's for people who are saying that, just like talking out your ass again.
Oh, so
And
that's
I hate
interesting.
it.
See, I didn't know that they only had a 30-year lifespan. So in actuality, all the people that were saying, like, oh, they're all supposed to be clones, are completely wrong, because in actuality, there should be absolutely there are no more clones at all.
There should be no,
Yeah, they're
like
all dead.
in Star Wars Battlefield 2, the video game, you actually play as one of the clones, and he
Mhm.
gets really old by the time Endor comes around. Like he's one of the last surviving clones in the 501st Legion.
Okay,
And it's
so
like
yeah,
John
they're pretty much
Boyoge's
done.
character is easy. If he's not in 501st Legion, there's probably not a lot of clones there, if any at all.
Yeah, and also I kind of feel
It's
like
like,
it goes to the whole like inscription, like inscripting people and giving them not so great training kind of goes to the stormtrooper school of shooting. Because I was thinking
yeah,
like, because all those, like, man, if they were all clones, like, and they were all like Boba Fett clones, you think they would be better shots. And it's like you can see them in like the Clone War cartoons and whatnot. Like the clone troopers are really good troopers. Like
yeah,
they get shit done and they're pretty good shots and stuff. And then
yeah, they
you
are.
go watch, New Hope and Beyond, and they're just
It's
fucking just
shit.
shooting everywhere.
And there are that's another thing that's explained in Expanded Universe, which if you're one of those people who's like, oh, EU's, I was all angry about the EU's, like, whatever, I don't care about your opinion. But, like, after Camino falls, they can't get the nice... Camino's basically the Rolls Royce of clones.
Mm-hmm.
They make the best stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But then they rebel, they have to destroy all the cloning facilities, so the Empire, they do have some more clones, but they have to go kind of the cheaper places to get clones.
Mm.
And they don't have Jango Fett's DNA anymore, which is, Jango Fett's... Which, by the way, Jango Fett's not white either, so what are people yelling about? Like, the actor who plays Jango Fett's like a Maori or something, like an islander. But
Yeah.
anyways, it's like, that's one other reason why they don't have good aim and have shitty training, is because they got the cheap clones after that.
They got the knockoff clones.
Yeah, they got, like, the shitty clones.
Yeah, I don't know. People are just stupid.
In
Like,
summary, all those people who say that, I say, fuck you, don't watch Star Wars, you give us all a bad name.
I just don't get, like, what. Did you read some of the racist stuff? Because I just tend to.
I read
like,
a little bit, and I just got mad, so I
I
stopped
just try to. Yeah, I just try to stay away. It was just like the whole reasoning behind, like, oh, they can't be can't be black, or this is the same thing like in Hunger Games when they found out like Rue was black, and then it was like, oh, I didn't care about them as much. I was like, oh my god.
What the fuck is
People
wrong
on
with
this
you? This is
planet are
2014.
so terrible. But yeah, I mean, like, get over it. He might be the Luke Skywalker character in the Star Wars, which I think is like great. It's in a galaxy far, far away. Why the fuck do you care?
I know.
I was like, this has nothing to do with anything.
It's all everyone's argument on that point is completely without merit, which is amazing.
I was just like, this is the most pointless argument ever. You're still gonna watch it. Like, what are you gonna do? Not watch a Star Wars movie? Shut the fuck up. Like,
I know.
Deal with it, kid. And it was just like, get over it. But anyway, so yeah, John Boyega has been really cool about it. He that's pretty much his response on Twitter. Has just been like,
just deal with it.
Deal with it. Like, I'm in the movie. Like, what do you want me to do? Become white? Like, which is so weird to argue of why, like, it can't even be like, he's a stormtrooper. He's not even like the good guy, which is so funny because, like, no, the bad guy can't even be black. Yeah, you're just like, you're arguing.
The only kind of prejudice that would have made sense within Star Wars universe if there was an alien stormtrooper or an alien Empire officer, because the Empire is known to be xenophobic and treat alien species as second-class citizens.
Mm-hmm.
That is in universe. That has been established and stated several times.
Okay, that makes sense. But he's not alien. He's just human.
Yeah, he's a human.
He's human, and though I guess we've never actually seen a Black Stormtrooper until, but we both recently watched the Rebel series, the new Disney production, the new
Yeah.
animated series for Star Wars Rebels,
Yeah.
and in one of them, one of the best young troopers that is coming up in the academy is a black kid. And
Yeah.
his sister, even bigger gender roles, like his sister was like the best cadet out of that academy, who I'm guessing is black, at least half black,
Yeah.
you know. So it's never like
Yeah.
written down that they can't be black, you know. And
We
it's
never see a stormtrooper in any movie take their helmet off, so what the hell does anyone know?
exactly the only stormtrooper that we've ever seen is Jango Fett, and the Jango Fett clothes, and the Jango Fett clothes are all like Hawaiian. They're all island. They're not even
Yeah.
white. So it's just like, okay, it's
This is the dumbest argument, and we've actually, I think, we've justified this argument too much by addressing it, really.
yeah. Anyway, the other big talking point that I think is a little bit more valid is the big lightsaber reveal when we see this Sith-like character just kind of walking through, storming through, and then sits down and hunches over and brings out the lightsaber, and then we can see the long-ass broadsword. It's a super long lightsaber, and then the two hilts pop out, the two mini lightsabers on the sides. And the internet has been really mixed about it. A lot of people are making fun of it, saying it's like, oh, the two baby lightsabers, like. And other people are saying that, like, oh, it's impractical, like you'll end up stabbing yourself, and then it's just like, and then other people are just like, oh, it's just stupid, you know, it's like JJ Abrams, like, not cool. And then there were people that were saying, it should have been like longer, like it would have been more badass if the hilts were super long, if it was like a try. So it's just all over the place. When I first saw it, I thought it was incredibly badass. I thought it was a nice little tweak, and practicality wise, it's all like, yeah, like the main flaw of the original lightsabers is that they don't have a hilt or a guard to protect
So you
against.
get your hands cut off.
Yeah,
Lots
I
of
was like,
times.
why don't more people get their hands cut off when they lightsaber battle? You know?
Well, the original, I think the sword fight was actually kind of based on fencing. This seems more like a broadsword claymore type, which also makes sense because that's what I think the purpose. This is more into Star Wars lore, but Darth Vader invented his own style of lightsaber combat since he could no longer use the Force like he used to and doesn't have the mobility and agility he used to. So his style became all about power. You see him making lots of big two-handed grip swings and blows,
Mm-hmm.
and he just overwhelms his opponent by pressuring him. So I'm wondering if this guy might be adapting the Darth Vader style of lightsaber combat, which would be good if you have a really long the hilt and pommel is really long too, so you can put two hands on there easily.
Yeah, it definitely looks more like a great sword or a bastard sword, which would be a pretty dope, you know, like
And it would give traditional lightsaber people a lot of problems because it's more like that's like a fencing saber versus a claymore.
exactly,
It's like you're
yeah.
faster, but it's like that thing could just overpower you and outreach you. And
Yeah.
now he has cross guards, so you can't just slide down and hit him.
Yeah, you can't slide down at
So
him, and also if you get close enough, if you get up to the poking range, he can poke you. You know, he could
yeah,
like
that
stab
too.
you with that right in the chest or the eyes or the face. I think it's fine. Like you just chalk it up to like, oh, it can hurt him. Like if you think about the practicality, like a double-edged lightsaber is an incredibly impractical weapon.
You would have cut your
Everything, yeah, off
in
of
5
you.
seconds.
Yeah, like a double-edged lightsaber is like even way more practical than having those like hilts on the side.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just you have to also realize that these are master martial artists. So to say that like, oh, you might catch he might catch himself with those. Those are impractical. He might catch himself. Like Darth Maul was a master martial artist with the double-edged lightsaber. He didn't singe anything on himself. You
That'd
know,
be like saying Bruce Lee hit himself in the face with his own nunchucks.
yeah,
Doesn't happen.
essentially, yeah. I think any great martial artist, like when they're good with a weapon, they can basically use it as an extension of their own body. Like they are so coordinated, and you know, Jedi and Sith are supposed to be these master martial artists, you know, that have the
Yep.
Force, not only just master martial artists, but have the Force to assist them, you know, in their martial art like tactics and forms. So it's just like, I think he's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
whoever that
There's
person
a
is.
couple other things too with this lightsaber. The crossguard design is not the first time we've seen this crossguard design in Star Wars, actually. This is more EU stuff from the comics, which, EU doesn't count anymore or whatever.
Hmm.
But there was a Jedi he didn't use a double crossguard like this, it was just on one side. But it's for that purpose, because he thought, I don't want to get my hand cut off, so I'm going to design a lightsaber with an extra crossguard on it.
Yeah, it is. It is a little bit. I saw that design. It's just like one point, so it's kind of like an offshoot, and it's at like a 45-degree angle, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it makes sense. At the same time, it's just like I was kind of thinking because the crystal is kind of like singular in that way. Does that mean that it's just like has offshoots of that crystal, or are there an additional horizontal crystal that's in there that's going off? Or it's interesting because whatchamacallit, the red crystals are artificial, like the Sith crystals. That's
Yep.
why like all dark side use red is because those crystals are all artificial. They
Hmm.
can design that crystal to be shaped in a cross-like manner, so maybe when the power goes through it, it can offshoot in different directions.
Yep.
So other people are surmising that maybe it's like it can be exhaust panels, like it's letting out, since it's like so much longer, that those two are kind of like exhausts from the main blade, which would
You
make
could do
sense
that, yeah.
because if you think about it, like that main blade first lights up and then it takes a little bit, and then the two kind of, they don't come out at almost the exact same time. It's just like there's a little bit of delay, like
I was just going to say that. I was
yeah.
wondering too if it's a user choice, if there's a separate button for the crossguard. Because maybe he can use it. Because we know lightsabers, you can adjust the length of lightsabers with a knob
Yeah.
already.
Hmm.
So if the user may choose not to use the crossguard at certain times too, which is why I think there might be a second activation button for the crossguard that's different from the main blade.
Yeah, for me, I was super excited, just like the real subtlety, the economy of motion, the way that character carried himself or herself. There's a lot of people that saying it's Brienne of
Hmm.
Tarth. There's even like a gif going around the internet um, of her just walking with the Kingslayer in like season 3, and then they
Oh,
put it right next to that Sith character walking through the Force, and they kind of have the same kind of jaunt and gait. So a lot
hmm,
of people were kind of surmising that it could be those two, or it could be Adam Driver's character, the guy from Girls.
yeah, yeah.
A lot of people are saying, and then all the fanboys are saying, "Oh my God, it's definitely Benedict Cumberbatch or Andy Serkis." Like, I think it's probably one of those two.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're saying,
Also, too, like you said, how the crystals are artificial. This is another thing I think JJ Abrams did that, like, or he at least hires someone who knows Star Wars, because it said since lightsaber crystals are synthetically made, crackle and like are really unstable looking. Which, if you look in slow motion, this thing arcs and has a lot of little offshoots and stuff. It's not a stable blade like we've seen before.
yeah,
It's
a lot of people were noting that like it's almost like fiery the way
mhm.
that it is.
It's
It's
like
pretty
barely
nice.
contained lightning.
Yeah.
So that's like another thing. Although technically, actually, Luke Skywalker's main lightsaber he gets in Return of the Jedi is also artificial because he didn't have time to go on a crystal search.
Yeah.
So there are Jedi who are known to use artificial means as a means. It's more a philosophical thing because Jedi believe in being in harmony with nature and stuff. So finding natural crystals
Yeah.
that suit their purpose versus a Sith just be like a lightsaber is a tool. You make it and then it's yours. It's done.
Yeah. I mean, every single story that I've seen, in which involves a young Jedi or a Padawan finding his crystal, like in the caves of Ilum, has always been really compelling to me. I
Mhm.
doubt. I mean, I'm pretty sure if they had more time, they would go to it. But I think, like, isn't like the like Ilium probably under like Imperial control at this time, or like
Yeah.
I don't think they would be able to actually run in there and grab a crystal.
Yeah, that's why
Yeah.
I said Luke Skywalker doesn't have time for this. He just needs to make a new lightsaber to replace his old one.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you read any of the speculation or the spoilers on who's going to be who and what the story is going to go with?
Some, but I don't put a lot of faith in those until we actually see it.
Do you want to float
Yeah, I
into
don't care.
those? Okay, so the main and this is I've just been scrolling from a myriad of sites that I can't cite right now. I think the big one I've been watching is an amazing YouTube channel called Emergency Awesome. Says that right now the rumor is that this is gonna kind of be the reason why it's called Force Awakened is for quite a long time after the events of Return of the Jedi. There aren't many Force users in the universe after that event. And essentially, this movie takes place like 30 years after, and some event is going to somehow awaken force power, like latent force powers in certain characters. So if the original prequels is about Anakin having his force powers awakened and then him floating from the light side to the dark side, a lot of people are posturizing that this story is going to start with John Boyega, who starts on the Imperial side as, a stormtrooper, all of a sudden having his force powers awakened, and then having his journey from, the dark side and all he's ever known, that he thought he was doing a good cause, maybe like something, drastic can happen, and his conscience, just tells him that, oh, this isn't right, I've been on the wrong side, and his force powers awaken, and then it's about his journey and some of these younger casted characters' journeys from becoming having these force powers awakened and for them joining and becoming over to the light side. So I think that's a really interesting story that if that's the story of like a stormtrooper becoming a Jedi, I feel like that's like what an incredible like story, what a great arc.
That would be great.
Yeah. That could really be. And then the other people are surmising that JJ Abrams was talking about like there's going to be, they wanted like a powerful female Sith character. And I can't think of anyone better to cast than Brianna Tarth. I think she's probably going to be the big bad enforcer in this series. And that girl can kick a lot of ass.
She'd be perfect for using Darth Vader's just lightsaber combat style.
Exactly.
Just big bruiser.
Yeah, because that's what she is. Like, you've seen her in Game of Thrones. She's not like, an airy, delicate ninja type, fencing type. She is going to get up in your face, and she fucking kills the Hound. Oh, spoiler alert. In Game of Thrones. But, unconfirmed. We never saw the Hound die. But she defeats that Hound in combat, which is who's one of the greatest fighters in Game of Thrones, and she looked super brutal, like, doing it, too.
She went toe-to-toe. She wasn't tricky or anything. She just went face-to-face, toe-to-toe, strength against strength, and she came out on top.
And she also beat the shit out of the Kingslayer, although the Kingslayer only had one hand, and it was his offhand. Wait, no, he had both hands. He had both hands back then. He was just weak.
Oh, yeah, on the bridge. Yeah,
he was just weak. But yeah, so she can definitely hold her own, and I would totally buy it, as her.
I would totally buy it, yeah.
Her as some, like, badass character. So, I mean, I'm hopeful so far. We see... I was kind of excited just to see that Adam Driver didn't get revealed too early. Like, I don't think a lot of people know a lot about Adam Driver, because he's pretty much only known from watching from HBO's Girls, which I don't think a lot of guys watch. But for some reason, I really like that show. And Adam Driver, by far and away, is one of the most talented actors I've seen of this generation. Like, I'm going to say it right now. After Star Wars, he's going to be in so much stuff. Like, the kid... Yeah, I'm saying it right now. The kid might win an Oscar someday. He's that talented.
You think he'll be like the next Harrison Ford?
He's
after
too...
Star Wars
No, he's too weird looking, so he's kind of like... He's not a very traditionally handsome type guy, so he's gonna play more niche roles. But the roles that he's given, I think he's just gonna knock out of the park. I just don't.
I see.
He's such a. There's some people that you watch, and like you see Tom Cruise, and Tom Cruise is just always like fucking Tom Cruise, it's just like, you see like Denzel Washington. Denzel Washington's just kind of always like Denzel Washington. They do like a really good job. And then you see transformative like performances, like you see Heath Ledger as the Joker, who just becomes like a different like a character, and it's I don't want to say he's gonna be better than Heath Ledger, but he's that type of performer
He
that
has that much
is
range in his acting.
that he's so nuanced in the small things, in just like the small ways that he like moves and the small gestures and what he does, and that
Uh-huh.
you totally forget that you're watching like a person act. He just
Hmm.
feels like hyper organic. He feels realer than real life, which is like, so I'm really really excited when I heard that he was cast in this movie, especially for him to play a bad guy. Or some people are rumorizing that maybe he is, you know, the solo child that in the expanded universe there is there's the two twins in the expanded universe for
Uh-huh.
from Han Solo and Leia that apparently like one the strongest one, the most intelligent one, goes from the light side to the dark side, kind of harkening back to an Anakin Skywalker arc. And if he is like that character through this arc, I am just like it's gonna be a fun ride.
Which was a great books like arc, by the way. That was an
Yeah.
amazing book arc.
And for everybody who's like being butthurt about like EU like getting shafted in this, like it's like deal with it. Like
Yeah, you can already see they're picking and choosing the good because there's a lot of shit in EU. That's like a lot of
yeah,
bad books, a lot of terrible comics.
yeah.
So now what they basically said was we're not handcuffed by any of that, but we can pick and choose the good parts. Like people talk about the Thrawn trilogy a lot. They never said they're never gonna use Thrawn or anything like that.
Hmm.
But they can if they want, but they're not handcuffed by crap stuff like the courtship of Princess Leia, which is like the most terrible book ever.
Yeah. It's pretty much like if it's good, they can use it. Like you just can't hamstring a new franchise. There's just too much.
They need
Ex-
freedom.
yeah. For me, it's like, well, do you want your EU or do you want good new Star Wars movies? Like it's either one or
Yes,
the other,
I've read
guys.
probably 90%, like 95% of all Star Wars books,
Hmm.
and I don't care. When they said that, I didn't care. Some people got way more butthurt than me and probably have read half of what I've read.
Yeah,
So it's like, I don't care.
and for the record, they did a smart thing in which they said, where EU isn't gone. It's not cut out. It's just a different universe. Now Star Wars is a multiverse. You know, like
Hmm.
DC has multiverses, Marvel has multiverses.
Yep,
You
yep.
know, it's now Star Wars has multiverses. You know, there's gonna be the EU timeline that still exists, and then there's gonna be this new, you know, just like how DC is doing New 52, just how Marvel did Ultimates Universe. You know, this is new Star Wars. You know,
Hmm.
this is, and if you want to hold on to the old one, it's still there. It's still there. No one's taking that away from you. You know, I know there
Yeah.
might be people that really love those arcs and stuff, and just like when they heard that there was going to be um, new Star Wars movies, that like they really wanted like the Thawne, you know, like arcs and whatever. Like, I mean, who's to say that doesn't get made in the future, guys?
I
Like,
know, that's what he says. Like, they
yeah.
never said they're not going to do it.
Like, even if they don't do it in these like three films, there's like a billion spin-off films that are already lined up. You know,
Exactly.
you
Yeah,
know,
Gareth Edwards, Godzilla director, doing her spin-off already. That's rumored to be a Boba Fett spin-off, like a heist movie. And they're like have like two other spin-offs that have nothing to do with the main movies.
yeah.
It's like
So, I mean, it can still happen, but in all honesty,
overreaction.
I I rather they just make like JJ Abrams and them make a good, you know, a good new Star Wars movies. All that said, I'm hyped for it, but we've been through it. You and me have lived through the prequels. We the hype was real when the new Star Wars prequels came out.
Especially episode 1. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
the hype was real, and that movie was not very good. So, that being said, I would be happy with like just just a pretty good Star Wars. I'd be lying if I was like, yeah, I don't wish for another great movie, but if it's like as good as like the Star Trek reboot, I'd be okay.
The first one,
Yeah,
yeah. I know. That'd be
that's where I'm
fine.
tempering. That's where I'm tempering myself, because I remember when I watched that Star Trek reboot movie, I was like, if this was the Star Wars movie reboot, like if this was like the Star Wars prequel, if this was Phantom Menace, Like,
This would have been
it would
fine.
have been good. Yeah, it would have been pretty good. Like, I would have been
Instead, we
fine with
got,
that.
"Are you an angel?"
Oh, shit. Punch that fucking kid in the face.
But
Just ruined
anyway,
Darth Vader for a whole entire generation.
yeah.
This giant whiny pussy. He's so menacing and
I
so
love
great.
some article I forgot was quoted like, "This is pod racing." Like, no, Anakin, this is not pod racing. This is a space battle, and Qui-Gon Jinn is on the surface getting Sith kebabbed. This is nothing like pod racing. Shut up.
Yeah.
But I thought that was funny. But I kind of want to talk about the designs because we're seeing a lot of like costume and ship designs in this trailer a lot already too.
Okay.
Because we saw they just had a close up of the Stormtrooper helmets, and they leaked already like a few months ago. You remember that?
I remember we were
And so
discussing. I was like, I didn't like it. I didn't like the initial look of it. I thought it looked too minimalist and streamlined. But seeing it in action in the trailer looks really dope. I like it.
That's what a lot of things is like. They respect the old stuff, but they kind of modernize it.
Yeah, it's just a tweak. Just a tweak. You can see it the same thing on the the X-wing helmets. It's just you can see the actor Isaac. What's his face? Is
Oscar Isaac?
Yeah, Oscar Isaac is the X-wing pilot.
Yeah. We also see like the
He's
guns.
also
the
I think he was just cast as Apocalypse.
Yeah,
in the new X-Men movie. But I digress.
So he's doing well.
Yeah, he's a talented actor. But yeah.
They also show a quick close up. You have to pause the video to see, but of the Stormtrooper firearms, the blasters they carry. It's very close to same thing, very close to the original, but they put stuff like there's little chrome accents on the scope. There's white accents around the whole gun, and there's like a little red digital readout.
My note on the blasters was, "Ooh, shiny."
Yeah, but it's like because the other ones were the old ones are all black.
Yeah,
they were just like modified British submachine guns.
Yeah, I just felt like they iPhoned up the blasters.
Yeah,
kind of, yeah,
which is cool. It kind of matches. They kind of iPhoned up the helmets.
Yeah, I think also like the look of the world is very un-CG. I guess there's gonna be a shit ton of CG, but you feel like there's not like a sheen of plastic over everything. That's you feel like there's grime, that there's organic material, that there's if it's metal, it's the metal that's been cast and not a number and a 0 and a 1 repeatedly. There's no copy pasting. All the practical effects is just like, thank you. It's the guy that
like
fucking gets it.
Like in episode 3 when every single clone trooper was fully CG.
Yeah. Yeah.
And also, I think I like the design of the blaster too because in the original, it's kind of hard to tell the difference between like a Stormtrooper's gun and like a Rebel gun. This new one with the white accents and the black kind of matches the color scheme of Stormtroopers. So there's no mistaking this is a Stormtrooper weapon. And we haven't seen any like Rebel Alliance weapons yet, but maybe it'll be also you can kind of tell the difference a little easier visually.
Yeah. Yeah.
Another thing I want to say about the X-Wing... Oh, do you want to say something else about the Stormtroopers? Or?
I just want to say, like, really quickly about, like, how in the originals, like, when they're fighting, like, all the droids and stuff with the lightsabers, they literally told the actors, like, just go nuts. Just go crazy and just swing around and do anything you want, and it will make it look really cool later.
We'll put a robot there later.
Yeah, and you can see it in the goddamn movie. There are times when it's just, like, they're fighting nothing. Like, Anakin's just doing this. Like, and he's like, you put the robot there, but it's just like, there's no, like, practical reason for you to do this to finish off 2 robots. It was just really impractical. Like, it's, so thank God. Thank God they're doing practical effects. Somewhat. But yeah, go on with the design.
Another thing, the Star Wars did what they really good. Like, Star Trek was always very clean and very, like, fresh out of factory look.
Yes.
I thought Star Wars did really well was the futuristic but worn. Like, these things have been used every day. They've been scraped and bumped. So we see on the close-up of Oscar Isaac's X-Wing helmet on the interior, there's a lot of little scratches and dents and scuffs on his helmet, which is like, if you have a helmet, like a really nice helmet, you're not going to get a new one every time you scratch it a little bit. You're going to keep it until it breaks. Which is always here. Also, I'm looking at the picture now of the inside of the X-Wing. If you look on the right, top right, which would be pilot's left next to his head, on the
Mm-hmm.
little arm, I'm pretty sure that's the targeting computer.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm talking about? I'm pretty sure the targeting computer's
Well, I'm
back.
not seeing what you're seeing, but I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure the targeting computer is back,
Yeah.
and the orange visor is back, which I love, and yeah, so they got. That's another thing that I think Abrams understands is the look. It's very different from the Star Trek look. Nothing's clean and nothing's brand new.
Yeah. And I think that really took, I don't know, it just took me out of the prequel movies. It's just like everything was like, ooh, so shiny. Oh, like
Yep.
we're going to shoot everything in digital. And I understand where George Lucas was coming from. Like he wanted to re-revolutionize, like movie going again. But
Mm.
it's, I think it was a guy who just got a little bit too big in his head about what he saw as the future and what moviegoers are seeing. It was just like, I think he thought we were too stupid to like to actually pick it out. But it's I'll give him kudos. I give him kudos for trying. Trying to push the limits. And Revenge of the Sith isn't that bad a movie. It's a guilty pleasure of mine.
Yeah,
So yeah.
but also, what do you think of the Daisy Ridley character?
I don't know. She got on a bike
I
and
know.
she flew forward.
Yeah, but I
I,
don't know.
I guess she's good looking. Yeah.
Yeah, she's like the least experienced and like the smallest resume of all the actors. We didn't see any acting from her in this, but I don't know. I just noticing on her speeder she's riding, same going back to the whole used. There's tons of paint missing. There's like black exhaust scoring on the exhaust tubes and everything. So it looks like they got that right too.
I mean, she can't be worse than fucking Hayden Christensen. So there's no Anakin in this. I mean, that was just a
Yeah.
curse. Whoever played the Anakin was freaking terrible. I think I don't know. I just feel like the actors that they cast. You can get Adam Driver, and if the rumors are true, they got Andy Serkis in there, and they get the rumored Benedict Cumberbatch. I see the hype train is gonna be fucking out of this world for the new Star Wars movies. The only thing that I have concern about is in the early production of these movies, there was a lot of script trouble. There was some turmoil about JJ Abrams maybe leaving the project over script. I think the original writer, who was the writer for Toy Story 3, which I thought was a very well written movie, actually got fired because he couldn't write a good enough script. You can read that one of two ways. It's just like, oh my god, not even the guy from Toy Story wrote a good script, could write a good script for this, or the way that I think I see it is JJ Abrams is so meticulous and he loves the source material so much that he wanted like a perfect script. Like he wasn't going to settle for, oh, maybe this script is pretty good. I think he wanted like this script has to be spectacular, in order for him to really, to do Star Wars justice. And I think that's kind of what it's been. The only thing that I think is really weird is that he's not directing all three movies, in that he's handing it off to the director. The next movie is going to be made by the guy who's done Looper. He's going to be writing and directing the next movie, and then I think he's handing it off to another director for the third movie, or is he directing?
I don't know specifically, but I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really peculiar. Like, I don't understand. Like, why would you do that? That's so. I guess the other franchises that you can cite that is both the Hunger Game movies and the Harry Potter movies. They were essentially handed off toward different directors. But I don't see like Star Wars in that same vein. I see it more as a traditional trilogy. Those are book anthologies. Like as a trilogy, you kind of like Nolan with the Batman movies, and who else? Peter Jackson with The Hobbit, and with the Lord of the Rings movies. I just feel like it's like even if JJ Abrams makes a good Star Wars Star Wars Episode 7 movie, it's just like, well, he's not back for the second one.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of fear, but yeah.
It's the worrying. You want to move on to the money shot?
Yeah, if you want to. We're almost going on about an hour now, so we gotta speed it up.
Are you seriously?
Yeah. Speed it up.
Okay. There's not much to say other than it's the fucking Millennium Falcon going crazy. This is also, it has me happy because if you are going to do CG, they're showing an attention to detail and like all the small things in the CG. that really makes it believable and just make it seem high quality. Like you're sitting here when it's making, a looping turn, they're in the atmosphere, so there's little vapor trails coming off the edge of the Millennium Falcon, which would happen in real life. You don't have to put that in because very few people realize that, but it just makes it look good. You know what I mean? Because that's what really happened. And also, when it's coming back down to the surface, it looks like they're on Tatooine against all the sand. And as the Falcon, finishes its loop and comes close to the surface, all the sand underneath it just kicks up in a big dust cloud.
Yeah, I think.
Which, that's not easy to do in CG, render that many particles and clouds.
And there was a lot of people that were criticizing the originals for how impractical a lot of the spaceships moved in atmosphere as opposed to how they moved in space. But I'm fine with it. Like, the way that they fight in space, just fight. We all know that in space, like, if you're going to get a more accurate way of how space battle would probably be portrayed.
It's gonna be boring.
Is what Battlestar Galactica kind of did, like the newer series, which is just like so hard to comprehend in your brain because it's just like you can literally move in any fucking direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like playing not asteroids. What was that? Yeah, asteroids. You have to point in the opposite direction. Boost your. It's like stupid. You don't want to do that. We don't want to think about that. We want to see what we know.
Yeah.
I think on this part, which is why they used old World War II footage in the original, and it was actually very exciting.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
But quick story too. My engineering class, we had to make foam gliders. Like gliders made out of foam, and then launch them, and we get graded on how well they perform.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone just did, normal gliders, until one team made an X-wing out of foam, like a very, very good X-wing out of foam.
Mm-hmm.
And
how did it do?
Straight into the ground because, the center of gravity is in the opposite place of where you want it, so it basically just went into the ground. But I mean,
it looked cool.
That's what I mean. Yeah, it looks cool. So who gives a fuck?
Yeah, at the end of the day,
same thing with TIE fighters. They're not aerodynamic at all.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, are we really going to argue the practicality of like a hilt? Are we really going to argue the practicality of the shape of the Millennium Falcon versus aerodynamics?
Nitpickers will, and that's the thing. You know me. I usually nitpick about this kind of stuff. For this, I do not give a shit. I love it all.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems like it's called suspension of disbelief. Like, you're going to argue that shit, but you're not going to argue that the Force exists in all of us and surrounds us and makes the universe. That midichlorians exist and allows you to fucking move things with your mind and mind control people. Or that aliens exist, or all this other bullshit is going to happen. It's all bull. It was like, oh, I call bullshit. It's all bullshit. Like, just enjoy the ride. Yeah.
I also love in this, all the sound effects are from the original. The engines of the X-Wings, the Millennium Falcon, the TIE Fighter blasters. They haven't changed it, which I love. The sound design I thought was near perfect in the original, so I'm glad they kept that. And that's another choice that JJ Abrams makes that I agree with, that I think he makes him show that he gets it.
All right, we're rounding out to about an hour, and I feel that you, Austin, probably have another hour in you to analyze this minute and 30 seconds of Star Wars goodness, but for the sake of my computer rendering this within the next 2 days, what would be your closing things to say about this trailer?
Closing thing is, for me, this confirms that I'm going. Well, I was going to watch it day one anyways, but now I'm excited. Now
are you like midnight Thursday? Probably it's going to be a Wednesday release, so you're going to be midnight Tuesday.
Yep, I'm going to camp. I'm going to do all that stuff.
So where are you on the hype? On the hype meter, let's not even put this at a 1 to 10. Let's put this at a 1 to 100. Where are you on the hype meter right now? For
98.
This 98. Oof.
If I could, I would do a Cartman and freeze myself outside until it comes out, until December next year.
Yeah, I think you're not the only one on this planet that wants to create like an interstellar time machine and just jump, just jump through that wormhole, man, and get there. For me, I'm at a cautious 92. Like, I'm like you. I want to watch this ASAP. I want to see it. I want to just jump through time and watch it now. Like, shut up and take my money. I'm gonna see it. Probably gonna go see it on midnight at the earliest release. Buy my tickets ahead of time. Probably see it in 3D if they offer it. I don't give a shit if it doesn't really
IMAX
that
3D.
Much. Yeah, all that good stuff. So I guess you're just giving Kool-Aid to the you're just giving Kool-Aid to the cult right now because we're two big fanboys and we're definitely going to go see it. And with that, we will conclude this long, convoluted discussion about this amazing trailer. Well done, JJ Abrams, and good luck, good work.